Hi, everybody. I'm just setting for this transmission to be public. Okay, hold on. And getting there. Done. Okay, so, well, um, as you can see, the title of this video, the purpose of it is to talk about the hybrid eclipse that is going to happen the 20th of April of 2023, and which is going to be a very important event, as it's not that common. A hybrid eclipse rarely happens, and mostly because it is talking about a communion of the different forms of manifestation of the eclipse in one: full eclipse, partial eclipse, lunar ring eclipse, and all the forms of manifestation of an eclipse at one moment. And this will be happening in it will be seen in the southern hemisphere. And so this represents that it will be mainly generating an impact throughout the frequency that it's going to emit in that area, igniting a specific artifacts that are in Antarctica. So these specific artifacts are related to the cube. We can see the cube very present in very ancient cultures such as Islam, beliefs in this case with Saudi Arabia, all this Muslim culture that uses the Kaaba, and that is pretty connected to the Kabbalah, the Kaaba, which is also is used in the Hebrew culture, and also for the Mayas that have all been related to the cube, to the knowledge of the cube, and the code, the deep code that the cube represents beyond the X, the triple X, as the capability to manage space-time. Because if we are talking and taking into consideration the dimensions, the fourth dimension, which has to do with the Tesseract, and the capability to travel beyond the timelines consciously and create a more precise and sharp present throughout weaving all these timelines into spirals. So I don't want to get very technical. However, the purpose of this video, as I mentioned in the very beginning, is to deliver an invitation for an event on the 20th of April throughout this hybrid eclipse, precisely to occupy our space. And occupying our space is generating a balance in between what's going to happen in the southern hemisphere in order to balance it in the northern hemisphere. And how can we do this? Well, if I'm mentioning that some artifacts will be ignited throughout this hybrid eclipse, artifacts that are located in Antarctica, let's say that there are also some artifacts that are located in the northern hemisphere, to be more precise, in the Peninsula de Yucatan, in between Cuba and the Peninsula de Yucatan, and also related to the cube. So, and that are also pretty related to 12 nodes that connect with the code 444, because if we sum 4 plus 4 plus 4, we have the 12. And then we have also the 64, which leads us to the octahedron, which leads us to the tesseract. So everything is connected to the management of the space-time. So the connection that is going to take place on the 20th will be I'm pretty sure that with everything that has been happening in the last few months, mainly in March, with all those earthquakes that have been a lot of earthquakes shaking the earth, shaking the information within the earth in order to restore it, to reorder it to its original pattern, blueprint. Well, um, it has a sequence. What will be the sequence now? I have received a lot of messages asking if I believe that there is going to be a flood um, in like soon to come. Briefly, if there is a flood happening, and that is going to vanish again the humanity as it once did. And as we know how reality manifests, it all starts in a thought of the conscious collective. And we do manage our reality as a response of the experience, what we have had as an experience, and then we repeat patterns. We tend to repeat patterns because that's how our instinct pulse um, manifests. Our instinct pulse related to the survival instinct. So, and that is part of the human nature, the preservation of life, and that's how it was designed and how it is what it is. It is in the brain. And what we are doing now is knowing from the multidimensional field, from the quantum field, that death doesn't exist. Matter doesn't destroy, it just transforms. And the more that we connect with it, the more that we know that we don't need to vanish from the body in order to ascend. It's just transforming, it's upgrading. And that is pretty related to the energy that is moving, that is coming from the Alcyon photon belt, all these solar flares that are taking place, and that there are upgrades, and that throughout the interferential wave that is created by the technology devices, technological devices, they generate an interferential field. And when all these solar flares and these photon storms are trying to get into the orbit, then they are coming in a specific equilibrium, and as they touch the interferential wave, and that's how they hit the human hologram. So the more conscious we are about this, and the more we align our hologram to this reality, the more we're going to receive that update without that interference. How? Unification. Unification, a unified consciousness. The more we reject what it is, the more that interferential wave amplifies, not only through technology, yet also through a belief system. So the more we criticize, the more we tend to be judgmental, the more we are amplifying that interferential waves. The more that we are unified and focus in coherence that to what we are up to create, the more we are amplifying the connection to that upgrade that it's going to impact, to generate an impact directly to our DNA. Because somehow it's not coming from the outside, it's coming from within. So that's the key. So therefore, now with the hybrid eclipse, with all these artifacts igniting and this flood representing the inner waters that are moving vastly in order to restore, to continue to restore, to continue to reorder, to purificate everything that needs to be vanished away in order to generate life from the purity of its origin. So once we get here, we are going to generate an arc, right? The arc related to Noah in order to preserve the species. Which species? The own seeds that you choose to preserve within all the information that you don't need anymore, that it's going to be washed away. What do you choose to keep? And that is what you're going to put in your arc. So throughout the connection that I'm inviting you to, if you're interested, if you're in resonance with, we're going to reconnect those 12 nodes, those 12 triangles, in order to restore the harmony in between those 12 nodes interconnected through 12 wormholes to the nucleus, to the Earth's nucleus, throughout the Osiris arc, which represents the arc of the covenant. Okay, so we are unifying, and then it's occupying our space, bringing our presence to the field for whatever is going to be ignited and for whatever is going to happen from now up to 7 years for when the 2030 initiates. Then we will be occupying our space, and this is a major labor. This is a very important labor because it's about sovereignty. It's about bringing the arc of the covenant within alive again. It's about unifying, really embodying unity, not just saying it, however, really embodying it beyond putting things outside and recognizing them within. And therefore, knowing that whatever manifests, it's a replication of what we are within, and then we can be in peace. That's the key. That's the key of creating a reality as a collective. Because the more we are aware that we could shift reality like this, just saying stop, the more we trust in what we believe, then we acknowledge the amount of power, of illimited power we have, and that the power is within us, not in an external force. So having said this, whoever is in resonance with occupying their own space and focusing in their own and what they're going to preserve within their own arc in order to plant it as seeds, after each one makes self-responsible of their own waters of purifying themselves thoroughly, then coming together and create a new humanity by igniting all those 12 points that are not any longer side tribes that are again divided, separated from each other. They are in order, each one occupying their own space, yet together. Because those 12 tribes represent us, represent the edges in our own particle of light, the cross that we are, as it's here behind me, the tree of life multiplied four times, and the 12 the 12 edges of the particle of light being the 13, our center, and the motion that is igniting everything through the waters is this 14 element, the space that nobody took into consideration before, and now it's been taken into consideration. That's the 14. And I'm mentioning right now, well, I'm referring to the 14 stellar codes, the 14 codes that constitute the human hologram. So, and that's how the human hologram is completed. And this information, I will also be sharing it in future podcasts, actually, with Chris Anatra and with Isaac Rodriguez. Very important information to be shared. Very, very important information to be shared in order to restore the astrological system in order to be in coherence, truly be the coherence embodied. So again, if you're interested in joining in this activation on the 20th, you can write to the you can join in the Telegram group that I will be sharing in the description below this video. Thank you very much. HUNUH.